Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final forgets. Myself, Zachary Patton Garcia.
And Ian Carlos Crawford.
Oh my goodness, we have made it to early 2022. I have to say, 2022 has not been that bad so far, especially now, because, why?
I think a new horror movie that maybe we were both excited about, that's maybe from my favorite horror franchise, came out. Maybe?
Yeah, you know, it's fun. You know, what's interesting is that we had, so my favorite horror franchise is Halloween. And I think I would say maybe this one would be second for me, but this one is Ian's number one favorite horror franchise. And so they came out pretty close together, didn't they? And like, I guess Halloween Ends comes out this year if they stick with that schedule. So, you know, we've got Halloween films and a Scream film all like in one sort of time period. How exciting is that?
I mean, I'm no longer excited for Halloween Ends, if we're being honest. After that last movie, I'm like,
all right, shut up. You're not allowed. I will shit on this whole movie if you're going to do that.
What? I said that during our recording. I made me nervous.
I'm done, guys. Thank you guys so much. Where can they find My Bloody Judy, Ian?
Up your butt.
Up your butt and around the corner. What were your initial? Because we both have seen it twice now at the time of this recording, and so
I wasn't sure if you had seen it 3 times.
No, just twice. So your initial viewing experience, and then your second one.
I loved it both times. I would say the issues that I had, which I still like, do have some critiques.
Yeah.
And I feel like you and I will probably agree on the stuff that like I had issues with. Overall, even watching it the first time, I was like, okay, like I don't like this part, but I don't care because this is so enjoyable and so well done. Seeing it the second time, those issues like were nothing for me. Like I was like, yeah, whatever. And I will say, when I got out on Thursday, I was like, this is my second favorite Scream movie. Like, I can't believe how good this was. Getting out this time, I might even have the like crazy opinion of it's like tied for first for me.
What is wrong with you? I'm not there. I tried so hard not to watch any of the promos for it. I watched the first trailer. We did a trailer reaction for it. And I tried after that not to watch anything else for it and not to really get anything, you know, try not to pick up on like theories and stuff like that. I had my own, but you know, I tried not to give into all of the chatter about it. And I think it did seep in a little bit because I saw all the reviews that were like, this is so good, the twist is so amazing, like everything is so great about it, like this movie is a perfect movie, flawless, you know. And in my first viewing experience, watching it, I had a really great time and I loved it, but I left feeling a little like not let down. It definitely wasn't the letdown that I felt leaving Halloween Kills, but I was also, I think I think I went in not knowing I had an expectation there, and it didn't meet the expectation because I was waiting for some big twist that was like amazing and, you know, unexpected and all of that, and it didn't really do that for me. And there was no part of it where I was just like, wow, I can't believe this. I can't believe what I'm watching. This is crazy. There was no part like that for me. I think my theater was also super dead. We had like a fair amount of people in there. It was kind of dead. Anytime I would do a little whoop, like it was complete silence. Like nobody gave a fuck. It was just not the viewing experience I really wanted. Now we went to see it tonight, and because I already knew what I was going into now, and I wasn't really expecting some big like dramatic twist or anything like that, I had a fucking blast watching it tonight. Like it was so fun, and it was such a great movie, and I could really like sit in and enjoy all of the performances and all of the like storytelling, you know, and all the Easter eggs, and it was great this time around. I don't know. I've been asking everybody, aside from me, and this is the first time me and Ian are talking about this, but I've been asking everybody where this kind of ranks in your franchise, and you're saying tied for top first. I still think, for me, I like the first one. I think the third one, it just has like a little nostalgic feel for me, so I really like the third one next. I think maybe this one would come after the third one, and then 2 and 4 are like duking it out for the next spot.
You know, you and I are the only like, well, not only I'm sure, but like I feel like you and I are the only two like big Scream fans that don't love the second, like everyone, like some of them love the second one the most.
Oh yeah, this year it's been getting like rave reviews this year, and it's for me it's like really good, and it's got great moments like Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, it's not like we don't like it.
Fantastic. Yeah. It's just not my. I think out of 2 and 3, it kind of goes along. 2 and 3 are. It's basically like which elements are more fun for you, right? And I think though, the Hollywood set is more fun for me, so I think that's why I rank a little bit higher. But yeah, there's been a lot of chatter about 2, and people fucking love it. And so this year's what, the 25th anniversary?
People were annoyed at our review because they felt we were too mean.
I know. I do think we have to redo it. We have to redo all of them.
I have something snobby to say. So
okay,
I try not to be outwardly snobby on my podcast. I try not to be, but I will say that like if like someone thinks this movie was bad, they're like is like a small group of movies that like if you think they're bad, I think you have bad taste. And now this is in that like because like I love Marvel movies, but like I don't care that like you don't love them all. Like for me, that's like depending on if you love fun superhero shit. Like I get why they're not for people is how I view it. Like I understand that. But like I don't know, man. Like it's like the second Star Wars movie that Rian Johnson did, this Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm trying to think. It's like 5 movies where like I think you have bad taste if you don't like them. And I loved that this movie kind of incorporated that. Like I love that second Star Wars that Rian Johnson did. I think it's like the best Star Wars movie. And I think like there's a certain type of, and they made fun of that. They like brought that up to be like, oh, Rian Johnson did that Stab movie and we don't like it. He didn't know what he was doing with that franchise. Like I loved that they specifically went there with that to talk about like toxic fandom. Because for me, that's also like, I'm like, fuck all you Star Wars fans that are assholes and like want to like review bomb it because it had women doing shit. I don't know. I like, so now that this movie falls into like that, where I'm like 2 people commented on Slayerfest Instagram to say how bad the new Scream was. And like, some guy was like, what did you even like about it? If I may ask. And I was like, I could ask you what you didn't like about it. It's a different opinion. And he was like, yeah, but you don't actually care about my opinion. And I was like, he's right. I don't. So I'm stopping. No,
I don't really. I'm sorry. I'll ask you to be nice, but outside of that, I'm probably not going to read the message. It's not a bad movie at all. It's actually a pretty great movie. It's like well filmed. It's well acted. It's like the story isn't even like, it's not even a bad story, I think my only misgivings with it were that I somehow had expectations going into it, even though I tried so hard to go into it without any expectations so it wasn't ruined.
Say you like looked at less than I did.
It fucking still did it for me because I kept seeing those rave reviews, and so I was expecting to see like a rave movie, and for me it wasn't. It was the second viewing was where I kind of found all of my appreciation for the whole thing, right? So let's start with this opening, because the opening, we've done a lot of talking about the opening and what the opening was going to entail, what was going to be. I guess my first question for you would be, like, where does this opening kind of rank for you in the franchise? I guess that'll be a good starter.
Also, my second favorite opening. I think they fucking nailed it. So, watching it that first time when she's having to answer questions about Stab, which is just basically her answering questions about Scream, I was getting choked up. So I was like, this is so good. Fuck. And like her yelling, Gail Weathers, motherfucker. I was like, this is all I wanted. Like,
I think my only critique is that it wasn't a little bit longer, because I did really like it. I thought this was so good. And Jenny Ortega is an actress that I wasn't the biggest fan of because she was in the Babysitter 2 movie, right? And you haven't seen that one. I did not like her all that much.
Who was she in that movie?
She was like the punk girl.
That.
Yeah, she's like the punk girl, the whoever.
I didn't like that movie, so
yeah, I didn't like the movie. I didn't like her in it. She's so fucking cool in this movie, and like she was so good. And poor Tara is this little woman, 50-pound woman.
Oh
being
wait,
thrown...
wait.
What?
Yes, I was getting. Who were you talking about?
What do you mean? Who am I talking about? The
Tara is who you were talking about. Yes. Okay,
yes.
Jenny Ortega plays
Jenny.
Right,
Sorry.
right,
Yes. And this little 50-pound girl is being thrown
I
all
know.
over the place, and she, you know, she gets stitched up, and she's still thrown everywhere and thrown into walls and out of her wheelchair, all because she liked the fucking Babadook, by the way. Like, that's it.
Right.
because she, and this felt like me, right? This felt like I was so happy to see them putting like my type of horror into this. Like, I love all types of horror, but I really do enjoy a hereditary Babadook, you know. But there's like a division in like a horror fandom, right? Whereas like those are like snobby horror films, and they are. But you know, I loved seeing her talk about those, and the fact that at the end she's still like, I still prefer the Babadook. She is the MVP of this movie for me. She's my favorite character of this whole movie.
She wasn't my favorite character, but I
Yeah.
felt she should have been almost the main girl. Like, I thought she was fucking great. And like,
Yeah.
you're right. Like, especially like, you don't even realize, because she's by herself that first half,
Yeah.
you don't realize how teeny she is, but she is tiny. And like, she sells the fear. I don't think there had been an opening, because we didn't really get that, right? Like, we didn't get an opening that was like Drew's opening, where it's like someone by themselves, like blah blah blah. So like, you know, it's not like I think Jada Pinkett Smith did a bad job. It's just she wasn't like by herself, like in this like terror of like loneliness. And she really, Jenny Ortega, for someone who like, you know, it wasn't she, even if she's been in other things, like I couldn't have named something she was in, for someone who isn't like a huge name to sell this opening so well. Like, you gotta, like, I don't know, you there's like a talent to that, right? Being able to sell this scene that's like you by yourself.
Yeah, and knowing that, like she had to have known the history of Scream and the history of the openings of Scream, and going into that, she was probably like super intimidated, or she was just like going for it all balls out, you know. But there is like, you know, every Scream opening since the first one has been like they're really trying to come up with some sort of twist, right, or some sort of like gimmick for it, and like they're all great. I love all of them. This one brings it because I was definitely expecting some sort of twist. I was expecting some sort of something to come in there and me to be like so surprised. And I was really happy that they kind of just kept it to, you know, a girl at home alone answers the phone, starts talking to somebody she shouldn't be talking to, and then gets attacked, right? And there was no like secret twist or anything like that. And you're just following Tara and how scared she is, and it like she sells it. She really does sell it, and the whole thing with the alarm system, you know, that is technology coming back to bite us in the ass, right? You know, if she just had a normal lock on her door, you know,
Did that bother you? Because I know you hated technology.
That doesn't bother me. I'm glad there was like no TikTok or anything. Nobody was like doing a dance and then get killed by Ghostface.
I didn't even know something like this existed. That you could lock all your doors through an app. So like,
I've seen
for me,
like
it was
that.
like, all right.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like
you guys,
that. I don't have that, but I've definitely seen people with that. And it was like scary, right? Because there's nothing she can fucking do about that. And I don't know, it's just really good. Her outfit was great. Her hair was great. You know,
I thought she's a really good crier too.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, people like, you know, will like shit on her, but it takes a lot to like, especially by yourself, to like portray you're fucking terrified and like you're crying and you're screaming, you're trying to get away. And like, when her hand is bloody, and like it happens later with Mason Gooding's character, when their hand's bloody and they like can't get on their phone. That's right. Yeah. Like, I hadn't even thought about that, but it makes sense that your phone isn't going to read it if your hands are covered in blood.
Yeah, and I thought the way they did technology throughout this whole movie was perfect for me. It was just enough to like show. I was
worried about that.
It was just enough to show where we are in society, but they didn't go full throttle like Addison Rae is the first kill or something like that, right? They didn't do anything like that, and I was very happy about that. And overall, it was just like a great opening. I do wish it would have been a tiny bit longer, just to because Casey Becker's was pretty long, right? Like that was a long opening.
Casey Becker's, I think, is like 9 minutes.
Is it 9 minutes? Okay. It felt longer than that, but no, it was still a really great opening, and I loved it. I don't know. What about the legacy cast? What did you think about them here?
So That was like, so like there got a couple of negative comments on which literally the only thing I posted was just like no cops at Pride, only Sidney Prescott and Gail Weathers, and it was like pictures of them with guns, and like it was people like trashing the movie, and someone was like, oh, they like did those legacy characters so dirty, and like I don't know, but if you think that, I think that's stupid. Like I truly like this was the whole point of this is like they talk about passing the torch, like they literally make a joke about it, and I think this made the case for like the way you and I always say they should do a Buffy revival. Like, no, it's not Buffy's show. It's another Slayer show where Buffy is also there to help. And I thought they used them absolutely perfectly. Of course, I would have loved more Sydney and Gale, but I thought Sydney and Gale, this was like the smartest way to do that. I didn't think that it would have like, I don't know. I just think it was the smartest way to use them. You have a counterpoint?
Yeah, I don't agree with you. I think my biggest complaint is that I didn't like they're characterized fine. You know, we get exactly who they would be today, but we didn't even get a single scene with all three of them. I don't think that is fair. I think we deserved that, especially them bringing all of them back for this movie. I think they should have all at least been in one scene together. And I don't think we got enough of them. I understand it's a passing of the torch and stuff like that, but if you're going to do that, then we get one final, like, go out with all of them. Like, we get one final outing with all of them, and it should be... And this is just my opinion, right? Like, I have no standing in this. But I wasn't satisfied with how much we got of them, and... that we didn't get any moment with all three of them doing something together.
I really think this was like the smartest, best use of these characters. I don't think there's another way they could have gotten Sydney to town. I think if we hadn't gotten Sydney and Gale together, I would have been a little upset, but I kind of knew he was going to die. I mean, I think I had said that, like, I was worried about the ladies, but I kind of knew it was going to be him, especially from that trailer. Yeah. And I thought this was for me, the best Dewey. Like I cared the most about this Dewey. And I think, I don't know. I was 100% happy with the legacy characters. I thought they did them such justice. And for Dewey to go out protecting them, I don't know. I thought like, that's what he always wanted to do, right? He always wanted to help, and he was a bumbling idiot. In this, he was way less of a bumbling idiot, which I was worried that it would feel not Dewey. But then once he started helping and started being jokey, I was like, no, this does feel like Dewey, who kind of fucked up his life, but like is still his character. Like when he was like, well, I'm regretting coming here, when he's talking to all the kids, like I was like, okay, yeah, this still feels like Dewey after he's like fucked up his life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with how all of them are characterized and how it does. They all feel real, and I think that goes to the actors, right? Because the actors know these characters in and out, and so they can't play them in a wrong way. I just don't think they can.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that. So I loved we got Dewey about 30 minutes in because I timed it this time. I wanted to see how long it took for the legacy characters.
I meant to look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was 30 minutes, almost to the point. And I liked when he called Sydney, and that was Sydney's introduction. I really liked Sydney's introduction, and I don't know, just like getting a glimpse of her life. I would have loved as a fan to have seen her life, right? Being invested in these characters for so long. It would have been nice for me to see Mark and the girls and all of that. And it almost feels like she's hiding them from us, the fans, the toxic fandom. Yeah. But it was okay. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then he texts Gail, and I thought that was so Dewey, right? Like, and accidentally sent me the smiley face. And it was like, oh my God, I could have cried right there. Alistair was crying, I'm pretty sure.
I cried when he called Sydney because I knew.
Yeah.
You and I have watched enough Buffy. The very least, we watch enough Buffy to see like a very nice moment that is then countered with that one of those characters is going to die. Like we've seen that. So I cried when he talked to Sydney because I thought it was such a nice moment between them. People were, I don't know if you had saw like on Twitter, if you like around the anniversary time, people were posting that clip from 4 where they have like a very sweet moment. Like they're sitting on a couch. I don't know 4 as well. I realize all the time that I don't. But they're like sitting on a couch and they have a nice moment. Everyone's like, oh, they should have got together. And it's like, no, they love each other. They've been through this trauma together. It's not romantic. It's like they are very much platonic, like friends, right? And that's okay. Like I love that kind of shit. So when he called her and he was like, please just don't come to town, I cried because I was like, oh, he's gonna die. This is their last conversation. the way she's coming to town is that Dewey dies. Like I immediately knew that and started crying. And I've never been so emotional watching a Scream movie either. Like I cried when he died and when Gail is like freaking out outside the hospital, and like I'm gonna get emotional thinking about it. Like the like music that plays and like the like light when Sydney comes and she's like, Sydney, and they hug. I was like, fuck this. It for me, it felt very much like a fully realized Gail and Sydney. Like there's no animosity. They're not even gonna pretend like, oh, she's a bitch. So blah, blah. Like there's none of that shit. We're not even, and 4, we didn't really do that either. But this felt like two people who genuinely care about each other. They both suffered a loss. I mean, granted, it was, you know, Gail's like love of her life, but it was still like a very close friend of Sydney's. And like, we weren't going to try to redo the like, oh, Gail's trying to interview me for some whatever. Like, it was just they're hugging and they're apologizing for what happened. And like, I don't know, Neve Campbell is just, she has such a warmth to her. Yeah. It felt very Buffy to me. Like, I know you and I like, everyone's going to be so shocked. Ian and Zach are talking about Buffy when they're talking about something else. But like, I kept thinking like Sydney felt like Buffy, the confidence she had, the over itness that she had, where she's like, when the killer calls her and she says, I'm bored and hangs up, I was like, fuck yes. Like, I've never felt like these characters are more fully realized than they were in this movie. Like this felt like this is their last movie. They're here and they're over it and they're not pressed by these killers. They're not, you know, falling for a trap. And I just felt like this was a beautiful passing of the torch for these two characters. Like I would be perfectly fine if we did another Scream movie and don't have them and we just let them live their lives. Or if like Gail's a cameo or something, like, cause she goes to interview people. But like, I felt like this was like a very good, and also I would be worried if we did keep bringing them back that if the movie went into other people's hands, eventually they would kill Gail or Sydney.
So it makes sense, right? Like I don't have to like it, but it still makes sense because, like you said, so this is the last time we're realized. I think most of the audience who's been invested in these characters know that that's the last time that Dewey's probably going to talk to Sydney, especially when she says like, "No offense, Dewey, but there's nothing that would make me step foot into that town." You know, we sometimes don't realize that a conversation with somebody could be the last one, right? And like this is kind of realized there, and it makes sense. It makes sense because it's more realistic that way. But it's still like I wanted them together, you know. As just a fucking fan of who loves this series, I wanted them together, and I felt sad leaving the theater that I didn't get that. I did feel sad, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I also had a real hard time with Gail showing up and her and Dewey immediately having a talk out moment, right? There was no build up to that. It's just like they immediately did that, and I was like, well, this feels rushed to me. It feels like...
Oh, for me, that felt like me. I was like, oh, that's what I would do. I would be like, are you fucking kidding me? You text me. That's me. You know that I'm like, if I have the feeling, you're going to get it right away. And I loved that.
That was fine. But then like immediately they go into the whole background for why like they left or they broke up and like all of that. And it just like felt, I get it. Like with movies and like storytelling, you have to rush it up, right? Because they have other things to say. They have other things to show us. So I get it. Again, I wish we would have had a little bit more for that. You know, I love how much confidence these characters do have in coming into these roles these actors have. You know, like with what you said, Sydney on the phone with, you know, Ghostface, and then she hangs up because she's like, this is boring. Like, I love that even in the dialogue, this movie is probably the most meta movie after the first one. It definitely is, in a way that's not so much talking about, like for the meta-ness was right. It was, well, we all have like cameras attached to our little headsets and like, you know, we can film the movies now and that's the new way to do these things. And, you know, but this one went even deeper into a commentary about fandoms and all of that and like what we expect from these movies and like how you can bring these movies back, but ultimately nothing is going to beat that original, right? And so like Sydney, like, I love that she's going through this, and she's like, this is the same fucking movie. You even brought it to the same fucking house. Like, this, I'm over this. You won't convince me that this is any better than 2, 3, 4, any of it, right? Like, and I like that, because that awareness would be on them. They would know that, you know? So, I really appreciated all that. Who's another legacy cast member that we got? Judy. I liked how much she was in it. I thought she was in it the perfect amount of time. We didn't need any more from Judy. We got Judy.
I thought like her and Wes's scene was like the most intense.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it wasn't a chase scene, but I don't know, what would you call it, right? Like I keep saying it's the best chase scene in the movie, but it's not a chase scene.
It's right? An intense scene. I would just say it's an intense double murder, because you know what works so well about the first one is that, and I noticed that here watching this one, is that they do let these scenes play on for a very long time, right? So like when this one was a perfect example of that, is when Wes and Judy are together. This Wes and Judy scene plays out for a good while, and we follow them around the space, and we follow them into the car, and like, you know, we get their whereabouts, and we get a whole relationship for them in like that amount of time, right? And I felt bad that he was about to go see his mom. He was dead on the front lawn, and then he fucking died. I was like, right. So like it was like
I felt like I was glad he didn't open that door at least. Like at least don't murder him after he's seen his dead mother murdered like on the front porch. Like let him die without seeing that.
So when, because she's going to get like sushi, so she goes to get sushi and she's in the car, and this is we've even talked about this in our trailer reactions, that we knew that was some sort of like big something. And so she's speeding, she gets a call from Ghostface, and she's speeding back to home, and like that was all of that was like super obvious that she was about to die, right? And that he was probably not going to die.
Right. Yes, I was gonna say, but I thought she would die, but he wouldn't, is what I thought was gonna happen, and I still was like shocked with how she died. I expected her to get into the house and die. Yeah. But like the way, the thing that they did well in this movie, I think, is like the way Ghostface kind of would pop out of nowhere. And I know like, you know, the person I saw it with today was kind of like, well, but like Ghostface did a lot. And I was like, yeah, but that's how the Scream movie, we just have to accept that like Ghostface can move that fast, right? Like that's just like the conceit you have to accept in all of the movies. So that's really not different. But they did have him like, they did have Ghostface like just pop out of nowhere and murder, like, right? Like she was stabbed, and there wasn't like a Ghostface is chasing her. It's like, nope, Ghostface steps out and like,
and in broad fucking daylight, like literally on her front step. And it was just like, we don't know who around there saw that happening, because there's the bystander effect also, is like people, there was a crime case called of Kenny Genovese or something like that, whatever her last name was. And she, you know who I'm talking about, right? Yeah. And she was totally murdered in front of everybody, and like nobody did anything, right? Because it's a bystander effect. Some people don't step in to help, and so we don't know who was watching her. But like the fact that it was broad daylight, right?
And it was so fast, so like,
and it was so brutal, right? Another thing about these kills, they are brutal. The stabbing, it's not like one or two stabs, it's like and like fucking Judy, I was like, my heart, poor Judy, I knew it was gonna happen, but like I feel bad for you, Judy. Heather Graham, Shelton, you know, like
did you like that she said Heather Graham?
I loved it. I was looking at it. I was thinking
immediately.
I thought of LaToya immediately. I was like, this.
Because I was wondering.
Bitch is gonna if make fun of me.
Because Heather Graham wasn't famous when she did that movie.
Yeah.
So she was just like whatever actress they threw. But I was wondering when she was going through the IMDb, I was like, oh, are they gonna give her like a silly name? But they just made it Heather Graham because now she is famous. So why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like, and I like, not to be that emotional fag, but like, also, it was like a little heartbreaking that it's like a mom and son murdered, like a 1-2 punch of like, she's murdered like on their front steps, and he's murdered like 5 steps away from there behind the closed door.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but like, and one, you know, I had already said he was really hot. Dylan Minnette, I think, is a fucking babe, because that's my taste in men. I thought it was really like, I love that we like got the male, like instead of like the like sexy girl, it's this like that hot, tight bodied twink, like getting in the shower. But I did think he was going to be killed in the shower at first. I was like, ooh, because like, that's always like, I know that's like psycho, duh. But like, I always have like a fear of like being naked and attacked, because like, it feels like you're more helpless. Right. But it felt like more heartbreaking that she is murdered on their front steps. And then we get him setting the table for him and his mom, and that,
oh my gosh,
was really heartbreaking, right? Yeah.
And the fact that it was all so like casual too, like it wasn't that she was even in her uniform in battle or anything like that. She was going to get some fucking sushi. She was dressed
in like her like workout clothes,
like working like normal around the house. That was her fucking day off, you know?
Yeah.
And she fucking got murdered, and then oh my gosh. So my second viewing is so much better because people were like hooting and hollering a little bit. And this was the part where when he comes downstairs after the shower, and there's like one fake out after second fake out after third fake out, you know, like all these fake outs where you think, you know, he's closing different things. It was, people were going insane over that. Like they could not handle it. And I loved that because it was really, really good. And then I didn't expect him to die. I expected him to go out and see his mom or like maybe get attacked and get away. And like when he's there and he gets pinned up against the door and we immediately go to like the taser that they introduced just like a couple minutes earlier. I'm like, that's going to be how he gets away, right? It makes no difference whether that's there or not because Ghostface has that knife. And I also really like that Ghostface in this movie, like the physics of it are really real. So they like keep doing that and stuff like that to really put pressure on. And it goes right through the fucking neck. And like, they don't cut away. Nothing.
We stay on that neck for so long.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was so good. Like the kills, that was probably the most vicious kill to me, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think, like, again, I just don't know, but you know what I mean? Because you and I love a longer. I think that thinking about it, I think maybe that's why you and I both feel the way we do about 2. The kills are all very like Samuel Geller's scene is iconic, but it's like 5 minutes, and that's the longest scene we get of a kill. Everyone else is killed like real quick, and I think that's like. You and I both always like talk like we love Samuel Geller's scene, and I know you did last summer. That's like a 20-minute chase scene. But I think that does better at building tension if we like stay on these characters. And even with like Wes, who's not like being chased per se, he's just like, you know, setting up dinner, but we know that the killer is there. So like the viewers are like tense waiting for him to like get attacked. Mm-hmm. And I think that always makes for like a better horror in a slasher, especially because like, all right, if they're just getting stabbed right away every single time, then like, right.
A couple more like legacy cast members that they weren't here, but they were here. When they're on the YouTube video when Richie's watching the YouTube video talking about Stab 8, in the sidebar. And Alistair pointed it out to me this time because I totally would have missed it. In the sidebar, there's one video at the top that says, "Did you see it? Did you see it the first time?"
No, I did not see it the first time. The first time, I actually. The weird thing is, I noticed the other videos the first time, but I didn't notice like because I was loving that it was like not my stab, like make that not continuity like the Star Wars.
Literally fucking exactly what like. Perfect thing that they put in there. But like, on the side, it's
Star Wars and DC.
it's interview with Woodsboro survivor Kirby Reed. So Kirby Reed, and this is all I needed, right? I didn't even need her in the fucking movie. I just needed an answer, and it perfectly sets up a teaser for a 6. And I think that was what this was meant to do. Fucking loved it. Made my heart jump. I had to sit through the entire movie not being able to pick up my phone and look on Twitter to see who else was screenshotting it because I missed it. And Alistair pointed it out to me, and then by the time I looked, it was already off the screen. So I had to sit through the whole movie, and I tell you, I sat through the whole fucking movie thinking about that one part, and that's exactly what I was going to do when I got out of the theater. And I did, and I looked it up, and it made me so fucking happy. Save the screenshot, everything. Couple videos under that is a video called Did the Real Life Stu Macher Survive? And I was like, I mean, and like people make videos about that all the time, right? Like conspiracy theories and all of that, but it was still really cool. And it could be like a teaser for something in 6, whether it's a fake out or something.
Well, also, so I still missed it this time.
Yeah.
But I looked up every Easter egg. I had the Reddit thread open for the last, like, since I saw it on Thursday.
Okay.
In Dewey's phone, and I missed it because it's so quick, but Kirby's name is in his phone.
Yes.
Too.
I missed that too, and I didn't see it until I went on Twitter right after.
I even tried to look for it this time, but it's so fast when he goes to, like, text Gail that, like, I missed it again, even though I knew when it was coming. But I did at least see the Kirby like YouTube video this time.
It's one of his missed calls. So like Kirby had been calling him to check up on him or something like that. Like how fucking cool. And how like what a great way to put in a little bit of lore here and a little bit of like background for everybody without explicitly like having to go into all of it.
Again, and I know I already said this, but that's why I love this movie so much because it did fucking world building so seamlessly.
I will say
and
that.
The Scream movies as a whole, and this isn't a bad thing or it just is what it is. They weren't that interested in world building, right? Yeah. It was kind of just like, here are our characters. 9 out of 10 of them are going to be dead by the end. Maybe one new one survives. If not, whatever. And that's kind of how those movies work. And sometimes they were in another movie, sometimes they were not, right? And it didn't fucking matter. But this felt like it was very invested in building this world. Like that inclusion of Kirby, like for me, even if we don't see her, even if we don't get another movie, I'm like, that's a cool thing, right? Like to be that like, I feel like these people who made this were like clearly huge fans. And they knew that's a thing fans cared about because Kirby was a beloved character that was in the last movie. And I don't know. I just think that's like so smart. I don't know.
And how fucking meta again that they're doing this, that they're making a commentary on like what fans want from certain movies and what the franchise that they follow. And then they're doing that same thing here because they are clearly fans, right? They know that like the fans want Kirby news or like something. Fucking Kirby Reed has a whole fandom after one movie. And she was
in like the like
I'm not gonna even like front like they meant to kill her, but like we latched onto the possibility. The gays latched onto the possibility of Hayden Panettiere still being alive.
And like she was even in like one of the like most poorly received of the like right like but fans still like loved her because she was great. And I will like I just like the care that went into this movie. I could feel it. I could feel. And like I kept being like, one of these guys a faggot like us because I feel like one of them's got to be because like I don't know, they're probably straight, but I just kept thinking like, God, like what Nev Campbell's statement, which just felt like something an actor says when they return, right? Like, the love that went into this, like, the people say that bullshit all the time, but I kind of feel like she wasn't bullshitting. Like she only came back because she did feel that like these were fans of the series who were putting love into it, and I. And I wasn't mad that I thought that was bullshit that she said that, but like, actors say that for it. Like, I remember Hugh Jackman's every X-Men movie, he'd be like, this one is the best one, like, of the series. And every one of them was worse and worse, right? Like,
this felt like a fan-made movie, right? It felt like a fan-made movie that was about fan commentary, that was also putting its own fan commentary, like, just very, very well done. And I have to watch it again to like go through it even more, like I feel like I need another watch for it. Who else did we have in here? We had Martha Meeks has returned because like Mindy and Chad are twins and they're Randy's nephews.
They were my favorite new characters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're not at new characters yet though, because we're gonna get there. But I love that like at Martha's house, it's literally this over the fireplace is like this big shrine of like fucking Randy. I love that they didn't like shy away from living in Woodsboro and like Randy's horrible fucking death, like traumatizing, but like even Mindy's super into, watching her uncle be killed on camera and, like it's so fucking cool. I also
loved them bringing her back and like she was just this like cute lay mom, right? Like, and that's fine. Like she doesn't have to be this like cool, but like, she's just like a like silly mom who's like, oh, your uncle would be proud of you. Here are some snacks, hugs Dewey and leaves. That's it.
Who used to wear tinted glasses in the 90s,
I was like a little worried when we saw her and she left. I was like, oh, please don't kill this cute mom. Like,
I feel like she's an untouchable
I was kind of glad
character.
that that's all we got.
Yeah, she's absolutely an untouchable in this franchise. Like, there's no reason to ever kill her. Somebody else could come along and do that, but I don't see a need for it. And it was really cool to see her. Now, our last returning character that I noticed and that I can remember off the top of my head, Billy Loomis is back.
Oh right, yeah.
How did you feel about that? I wasn't like super thrilled with the little over the shoulder Billy Loomis talking.
I figured you and I felt the same way. Yeah, that was my biggest critique of the movie. And like, I love bringing back a character, but
it's fan service that I could have lived without and probably would have preferred without, but I am still fine with it being in here anyway. It does not bother me. Yeah, at all. It doesn't bother me at all. And he looks really good. He looks really good. Obviously older. He still looks.
I was gonna say, but they de-aged him. They de-aged him before
they tried.
but it was weird, right? Because they de-aged him, but he still had like a 5 o'clock shadow, like right here.
it was, and I could see like around his eyes and his like forehead, but still had like some age on it. But it was still like it was fine, and it was cool to see him initially. I didn't have the reaction I think I was supposed to have because when I saw him, it did take me a second to like realize what I was looking at. I don't know why, but it did. And I was like, what are they doing here? So I wasn't super excited about the plot point of that she's Billy Loomis's daughter, but I guess that takes us into the new cast, right? Led by Sam. Is the
okay, wait.
New
So
lead. Okay.
I will say the Billy stuff, but like the first scene of it, I was like, ugh. Yeah. But then it didn't bother me. Like the rest of them were like fine, and like I almost would have preferred if it was just. I liked his scene in the end when he just like nods at the knife, but doesn't like he just like is like.
Did you like that? Oh, that was the only thing I did not like. I thought that was so hokey and cheesy. I was like,
that was the only one I thought
like,
worked.
Go get him, girl. Go get him, my girl.
Well, because it's his daughter, so it makes sense he'd want to protect her, even though he's a murderer.
And it's also not even him; it's her fucking delusional mind.
Well, so right, exactly.
I guess it makes more sense. Okay, I'll buy it. It makes
you
more
just
sense.
made it make more sense.
She's like, he would probably be like, "Fuck off."
But also, I will say the second viewing. I mean, again, like you said, like I didn't love it, but like it didn't make me.
I forgot
whatever.
It was there most times.
Yeah, the second viewing, I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah. Sam,
and they did.
Like,
sorry, I keep.
It's sorry. Okay. Hey, we're excited, y'all. We're excited. Go for it.
Also, it's not unheard of. Like, I don't love it, but it's not unheard of for them to do. My friend Mike Patterson pointed out they did do Ghost Maureen Prescott in 3, so it isn't like
That's
they have done it before. I mean, granted, I thought it was stupid in 3 as well, but it's not unheard of for the franchise, right? So, like,
yeah. I could do with or without, honestly. It just is not something that like did anything for the movie for me. It didn't hurt
and we don't need
make it better. Exactly.
Again.
It's just there. And it's a cool thing to like see him. Sam is the new kind of ushered in final girl. What did you think about that? I think they like looked to her a little too much when they should have been looking at Tara. They didn't realize what they had in Tara.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, yeah. I hands up agree. I think, and I hate. Now I sound like you because I hate to like trash, especially something that I love so much. But like, she was the weakest link for me of the new characters. She was like for me, she was the weakest. I thought she had. They didn't give her like all the rest of them were pretty dynamic, right?
Yeah.
The twins and Tara, they were like very dynamic personality. And I felt like Sam, they didn't like give enough personality to, and it almost would have made more sense. Like when they're like, you're the killer, like you could be you're the suspect.
I kind of was hoping.
I didn't want that because especially after we got the like Billy thing, I was like, oh, like this will be exhausting if she is. But I felt like we should have played with that a little bit more because it was like they accuse her and then we kind of just like that falls into the ether. I think that maybe her thinking, fuck, is it me? Like, am I going crazy? I keep seeing my father. Like, I mean, I didn't need it, but I felt like to make her character a little bit more interesting. Like, I did feel she was the flattest character of the new characters.
And for me, I don't think she was my least favorite because I think Amber might have been my least favorite, honestly. But for me, Sam, like, I didn't like that they put so much on her shoulders, like, immediately, right? I feel like a new like main girl should have come organically out of this group and like somebody's head should have risen above everybody else's over time rather than just from the jump. It felt like we see her, we know she's supposed to be the new final girl, the new Sydney, and then I think that messes with your head a little bit and you're looking for the reason why she should be the new Sydney. And then if she doesn't meet those expectations, because I really can't even put it into words why she didn't really work for me. I think it's important to say that we're not shitting on anybody's acting abilities here. I think everybody acted their roles even decently for the worst actor, Yeah. It just goes into like the storytelling thing. And I think maybe the whole Billy Loomis's daughter storyline for her just didn't work for me, and maybe that kind of messed with my view of her going. I liked her final girl outfit a lot, like the
That is an outfit you like.
I do really like that. I thought it was a good like ass kicking outfit, right? Like it was good. It was memorable.
And she did look good covered in blood wearing it.
Yeah, that's all. Everybody gets stabbed in the stomach in this movie. Like everybody gets a stomach wound.
Everybody.
I'm like, oh my God. So clearly the new rule in this movie is if you get hit in the stomach, you're fine. You are perfectly okay.
It's gotta be in your face or your neck for you to die.
You are okay. I like
unless you're Judy. Judy got stabbed like less times than Tara.
Oh no, she didn't even get stabbed in like the chest or anything. He went straight for the stomach. She just got all her wounds in the stomach. You know what? I like that there's a new rule for the arm cut. It points out the killer. That's like a mark of the killer now. Yeah, Sam would just like didn't really do it for me. We talked about Tara. Love fucking Tara. Just I want her in the next one. Who else do we have in this? I
want to point out, and I don't know if I said this already, for Tara, I love, and I think I've said this before, I guess full circle storytelling is like my fucking favorite.
Yeah.
I love when something comes back, and Tara getting to kill the killer that fucking attacked her in the beginning. Mm-hmm. The only thing I could think of, so in Veronica Mars, my favorite episode of Veronica Mars is season 3. Okay. Season 3 is a mess because it kept like getting canceled and then not getting canceled. So like the other 2 seasons would have season long mysteries. This season, 3rd season of Veronica Mars has like 9 episode mysteries, 2 episode mysteries, because like they didn't know when they were getting canceled. And then they ended up getting a full season. The last episodes were, but anyway, it's one of my favorite shows. My favorite episode is in season 3 when the first episode of that mystery, Veronica's friend, who's like just like a cheerleader, like excited blonde girl, is raped, and the whole mystery is who is the campus rapist. We find out it's these 2 guys. At the very end of the mystery, it's is it Love Spitting Eggs or just Spitting Eggs? That's my favorite episode. Veronica like finds out but then gets drugged, and she's running away from the rapist. It's like 2 guys doing it together. The girl that was raped comes out and finds her and screams for help and gets them caught, and like that makes me cry every time I watch it, because I love that this victim that got attacked, and Veronica had kind of ignored her and blown her off for being like an airhead girl. She's the one that saves her in the end. So for me, this girl that got attacked, and like he calls her a pincushion, and he's not wrong. They stabbed her so many times, broke her ankle, and like you said, when did she have time to heal? Like she didn't have like a moment's rest.
She was my poor Tara. And she did nothing. Why? She liked the Babadook. That's it. That's the only reason she got attacked.
But like her getting to be the one to kill the person that attacked her just felt like very gratifying to me. Like her getting that like good line with the gun shooting the girl as she's like about to attack her sister and Gail and Sydney was just kiss. I loved it.
And
anyway, continue. Sorry.
I mean, I loved all of... No, you said it perfectly, and I love all of her lines, and I love that, she's always like, can we get out of town? Can we go to a new hospital? Can we, can I just not be part of this situation today? I don't have any time for it. I love that she is... Because everybody in this movie, in a way, seems like they're kind of into the idea of a new movie being made about this new situation, and they're all interested in being a new character, and, like... Jenny Ortega was forced to do this movie and did not. She is not sure why she's here. She's a little bit worried. She's kind of just wants to move somewhere and go somewhere else.
I got stabbed 9 times and my ankle was broken. What do you mean this is fun?
She's like, oh my God, they had Nev Campbell break my leg. She was in the Ghostface costume. That poor girl. But she like worked so well as even as tiny as she is. Like I would love to see her come back and like kick some ass, Because even with all of the injuries she had no business walking around, and she was still walking around so much.
Yeah.
I loved her in the hospital. I loved that they like really played into her injuries too and didn't like she could just walk on a broken leg, or like whenever she's wheeling herself, like obviously breaking stitches. Perfect, because it's like continuity,
that
right?
grossed
and it
me
makes
out.
sense. Yeah. And like the lady next to me, every time she would roll, the lady next to me was like, oh.
I do think that is like the because you could hear the stretching of the stitches, or the noise, and like that works well, right? And like she was pushing. I mean, she wasn't getting far, but she was trying.
My poor Tara, my poor Tara. It just likes elevated horror more. And also, so I have, this is a critique I have of it, is like, it makes no sense that her mother would not be there. Even being a shitty mother as she probably is like portrayed to be, she would still be on a fucking plane. It would have made more sense for them to say her flight's literally getting delayed over and over and over again, right? Because being stuck at a conference didn't sell it for me. I didn't like that. Also, where's anybody's parents in this movie? Where I would have liked to have seen even Amber's parents like being dead in the basement somewhere or something like that, because it makes no sense that no parents are around whenever Judy's the only sensible parent in this movie.
She gets killed.
She gets killed. So it's like I don't know. But another character we get who Sam's boyfriend Richie. I don't know. What did you think about him? I kind of liked him. Second watch, definitely I liked him a lot more too.
I liked him in the first. I was positive he was going to be like the tragic, like death. I was positive he was going to be, you know, because he kept saying when she was like, you know, in the horror movies and they tell you to get the fuck out and you don't, and then like and he's like, no, I'm going to stay. I was like, oh, this guy's toast. He's totally going to die. So I was surprised by him being the killer, and I love that when even he's like, I know, I didn't want it to be me, or something, like when he says that when he stabs her or something. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how I felt. Yeah,
because they really do like so blatantly point him out as the killer, which like they did in the first movie too. And so it makes sense, but like watching him, he's so goofy, and like I was like,
he's like a nice guy.
They're pointing this out, but this isn't it. This isn't the killer, and then he is the killer, and it like I was okay with it. I didn't mind it.
I mean, it made sense that I was like, oh, this guy's like cute and nice. I would totally want to suck his dick, and then it's like, oh, of course he's a killer. That makes even more sense for Ian.
It makes more sense for you. Hey guys, this is the new rule for the franchise. If Ian wants to suck their dick, put him on the suspect list.
Probably the murderer.
When he got slashed in the arm, that's when I had my eye on him a little extra, but I completely like took him off my suspect list when we were driving to the house, and he kept trying to keep them from going to the house, and he was like, we'll just go somewhere else, we'll get it at a pharmacy, we'll do it at this, you know, we're not going to do this, abort mission.
That's when I was like, oh, he's totally going to die in this house. Like I thought like that would kind of be like, oh, Sam feels so bad because she brought her boyfriend here and he gets murdered, but no.
Just touching on Sam just for one more moment, and like, again, this is why I don't really know why she didn't work for me as the final girl. It's just because she was saying all the right things too. Like, you have to go. Because,
she was
like people in these movies, they always stick around. Like, she was doing the meta thing that she should be doing. Like, actually, we're not gonna fight with you, Sydney. We're leaving. I have a Holiday Inn room booked. We're gonna go. And like doing all the right things. So I don't know why she didn't work. I guess next, Wes really worked for me. We kind of already talked about him, but I really liked him. I liked that he was named after, you know, Wes Carpenter.
Well, and I also thought like, of course, like but like Wes Craven was a horror person. So like for the character named after him to get like maybe one of the grossest like deaths, like Wes would be happy. You know what I mean? That's
good tip of the hat. Wes was really good as a character. I liked that he was like very much like his mother, and like he was like, guys, be careful, stranger danger, safety, dare. He attended all of those classes, you know. Like he's like, all of my friends think I'm fucking. They all mock me because I have a taser. He was just great. He was really good, and like so paranoid all the time. I loved it.
And you were right. It was a good job of like being his mother's son, right?
Yeah. I also really like that, like, all of these characters kind of are smart. I like all of the new characters. I don't think there's any of the new characters that I absolutely hated, right? Like, in 4, there was a couple of the teenagers that I really didn't like. And I really appreciate all of these ones. And I love that from the outset, they all know it's just one of them and accept it and are, like, still hanging out with each other. And they're just like, it's gonna be one of us. So, you know.
I think so, and I love 4, but I think it did what 4 wanted to do with new characters. Like 4, the problem was 4 also murdered all the characters, and then the last standing of the new characters were the killers, right? So then it's like kind of hard to like try to pass the torch if everyone's dead. But I thought the thing this did so well is, like you said, they were actually all very smart and self-aware. It gave these teens a lot of credit, which not often do horror movies give teens a lot of credit, but teens would kind of be more self-aware about this shit, right? They just would be, especially
now, because even when, and I hate when they make teenagers do this, like in the beginning when Tara is like talking about, you know, elevated horror in a way that's like, however she describes it, I'm like, teenagers do not fucking talk like that. But nowadays, seeing them on like YouTube and TikTok and doing all these think pieces, they totally do. Like they talk, this is exactly how they talk. And so it would make sense that they would all have had like think PC conversations with each other and all know like all of this, right? This is nothing new at this point. We've got Chad and Mindy. I love the twins. Love them.
Love them.
Yes.
Jasmine Savoy Brown is having a good weekend.
Yes, man. I'm so excited to talk about her on Yellow Jackets too. Like, so good. So good. And I like that she is just like so cool and so chill. Like, she's super chill in this movie, and like it's like a perfect Randy, like a perfect niece for Randy, right? It makes so much, she just fits.
Listen, her stoned on the couch, eating snacks, watching a horror movie is the queer representation I didn't know I needed, but I have never felt so represented on screen when she's just like, yeah, that sucks. I'm gonna stay here and like eat snacks and get high, and maybe I'll make out with this girl. But I'm gonna.
And they flash to the girl, and she's just like, it's because like Randy is also.
That was me at like that was me at like house parties in Brooklyn. Like I'd be like, want to make out?
Because Randy's kind of coded like that, right? In like the original, like it kind of makes sense, and like this is like that version of Randy realized, you know, it like makes sense, and I love that she even has a counterpart twin who's like not as into the rules, but like also knows his uncle was fucking murdered in this shit and is not like the stupid, because he would be the stupid character that's like, oh, blase, who cares, you know, I'm not gonna, that's being crazy, but he's like super into this. He's like, I don't think I'm going to go upstairs and have sex with you because I'm not 100% sure you're not the killer. Like, I wasn't super into him in Love, Victor, but like I had the hots for him throughout this whole movie. I'm like, Mr. Cuba Gooding Jr. Son, sir.
Yes, I would want a top Dylan Minnette, and I'd want Mason Gooding to rip me in half. So like, yes,
yeah. And they both work really
and
well.
I love that.
Like them both.
I was going to say they had a good dynamic together too. Like I liked, like they were the twins, but like they were very different, but still like it wasn't like they didn't like, you know, like when she jokes to him when he like says that to his girlfriend and she storms out and she's like, great job. And he's like, fuck you. Like, I don't know. I like that shit. And like when she's stoned and like, you better take a weapon if you're gonna go look for her. Like,
and he's like, no, you're fucking right. I get it. And there's a candlestick, and like, it's just so good. And I like that they come off like they've known each other their whole lives. They come off like they have this unspoken familiarity with that they could like look at each other, give each other looks, and know what they're saying to each other. Right? It makes so much sense, and I love that they both lived at the end. I figured he was gonna live. Like, I didn't ever get a sense that he was gonna die, especially when we kind of just left him. If you don't see somebody die, then they're probably alive. Or we get a Kirby situation for 11 years, you know, and everybody's like, alive! They're never going to make that mistake again. We're either going to get a dead person or they're going to live.
But I did think Mindy was dead.
I didn't. No. I think out of the two, she would, because they need a Randy character to go on if they're going to continue this, right? So
yeah, I mean, but like because she like bled so much and was like, that's a lot of blood, and like also that scene was so good of her watching him watching your girl. Like,
did you have any moment where you realized that we have not had a scene like that in this franchise that is like calling back to the original so often, that we've never had a scene where somebody's laying on the couch watching the Randy scene from a stab movie while somebody's coming up behind them? How have we never had that? It feels like we should have by now.
My only disappointment is that Randy wasn't played by someone famous. I feel and this is, I know my Buffy brain, but like for me, I was like, why didn't they get Seth Green to play Jamie Kennedy's character in Stab? Because like they're kind of similar. But like, I get probably the issue is right. They would have to de-age, but they de-aged C. Ulrich, so like whatever, because it would have had to have been a movie that came out in '96.
Who did it say?
It wasn't anyone
played Randy in. It didn't have like a. Did you no noticeable name? Oh, okay. I mean, we even have like actors' sons nowadays, right? Like actors all have children, so like somebody who looked like their dad, maybe. I'm sure they could have found somebody. Yeah, I agree with you.
That's it. I mean, it's like, such a minor thing, but that was the only thing I was like, that should be someone famous. Like
somebody that like the 90s fags would understand and realize, they would recognize. But like that's such a cool scene, right? And then I love the moment where she's literally watching it and she's like, dude, come on. Look behind.
Yeah, right.
Like her comedic timing on that was excellent. Absolutely perfect. I loved it.
And right. Isn't it like it's wild because she's so good in this, but she's also so good in Yellow Jackets, and they're not the same character by any means.
Yeah.
And she nails both of them.
Yeah, and I loved it. I thought it was so funny. And then I keep forgetting his name. Chad is not a name that I like. I don't like the name Chad for him because I keep forgetting it. But Chad, his whole scene in the backyard, I really liked that. I liked Ghostface, using the tracker to find him, and that, like you said, his hands are too bloody to like work his screen, so he has to throw it, and Ghostface comes out of the fucking shed. And I did for a moment was like, that just hit an artery, right? When it stabbed him in the leg and he kept like gushing blood. I was like, that looks a little deadly. But him coming out of the shed was such a fucking cool shot because it was like
even though we saw that, right, it was still cool. Yeah,
but we saw it in a different way, and so I liked the way that they did it here better, because in the way that we saw it, it was some big like focused on Ghostface, like up close shot where he's like arms spread, and in the scene we just see it in the background, mostly out of focus until Ghostface catches up to Chad. And I thought that was so cool because it's like such an urgency that was with Casey from the original, right?
Yeah.
And so I loved that. I thought that was really cool.
I do think like, so the Judy West's mom son scene, I think is my favorite, like intense, but I think like chase scene, that Chad scene was I mean, it's like shorter, but I thought it was like with the beeping. And my only critique, and again, this is stupid and minor and I don't care. I'm not saying like whatever. If you clone someone's phone, I don't know that like a Find My Friend would still work on it. Right.
I don't know how that works. I don't know. I have no idea.
I think it just like gives the appearance of being the number, but like, I don't know that would work, but like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I did think that was like a good, it's funny, Zach, because like, when like that scene was happening, I was like, ooh, I wonder if Zach hates this because this is like using technology. To, like,
it's just technology in a really good way, right? It's technology in a way that really makes sense and not a stupid, brainless, mindless way. I think that's where it differentiates for me, because I don't want to see anybody getting killed via TikTok. I don't. That would have pissed me off to no end. But it was like really cool here because like as soon as they said that at the beginning when they talked about Find My Friends, I was like, oh, that's good, that's clever. Like I watch Alistair's Location all the time. We are the boyfriends who watch each other's location.
The only person I do that with is my ex-boyfriend. We have Find My Friends for each other.
I don't know. Me and Alistair always look at each other's locations. And it's I really liked that. That was a good like way to usher in technology here. Mindy's, there weren't a lot of chase scenes in this, were there? They didn't really have like a big main chase scene.
That's why I'm like kind of calling the like West Judy, because it like was for me like the big, but like again, it's not a chase scene, but like it was what would be the chase scene. I don't know.
I think this was the closest probably to a chase scene, is because he is running and he has a moment where he hides and he has a moment where he gets caught up with, right?
Yeah.
Mindy's kind of attack scene I thought was a little too quick, but I really liked that it introduced the room full of teens all pointing at each other like who's the killer. I fucking loved that part. I thought that part was so funny and so cool that everybody was like screaming at each other like, yeah, like you guys all came in alone. Like who was alone here?
Also, Amber saying, no, I know, it's me, and shooting fucking Liv in the face and saying welcome to Act 3. Like,
Yeah.
The meta-ness almost caved in on itself at that point, but I fucking loved it. Like
it was so good.
It gave me the chills.
It was really good because like I still think I would have liked for like most of the teens to have been killers, but I did grow to like the teens so much that I'm glad most of them weren't. And I'm glad that because Amber didn't really do anything for me. I guess that's where we're at. Is Amber? She didn't really do anything for me. I didn't really like care. I kept forgetting her character. So when she was revealed as the killer, I was like, meh. I guess. It's okay. But then that makes me more excited because then I know my favorite characters are still around and still able to go. Although, what was her name? Liv, girl with the pink hair. I liked her a lot. I enjoyed her, and I thought she was a standout. And I think she was one of the standouts they didn't mean to be a standout. And I'm bummed that they killed her.
But it was so cool though, right?
Yeah, the way they did it was funny.
The way they did it was cool.
And I loved everybody literally pointing her out as the killer. And she's like, I'm not the fucking killer. And then Amber goes, I know I am. Like so quick. So quick. It was very good. Poor Amber, I don't know. Amber was like trying to do the stew thing. I guess she was the stew who was like, she kept doing the gritting her teeth and getting really animated, you know, doing all that. I wish she would have had a little bit of her own personality instead, because I thought her and Tara were like love interests.
I thought it was just on her end. I thought like, oh, well, she's in love with Tara because she's like so weirdly like about her. And I was kind of glad they didn't. Just like, I don't know. We already had a queer character, so I wouldn't have been mad if one of the killers was also queer. But like, I don't know. That could have gotten a little messy, you know, if it was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Again, nothing that like takes me out of the movie for it. Next up we had, I guess, the last of the new characters, Vince, the most inconsequential character who like made no sense why he was even there. So like we see him from across the lot, and you know, the bad boy ex-boyfriend in his cool car, and we like get a quick introduction for him. We see him at a bar later on, and that's it. Like he gets killed, and like why else was he in the movie then?
I think so. I do think they added that because they were like, we won't have like, if he didn't die, they wouldn't have had a kill for like until Judy and Wes. So I almost feel like they just were like, we need another character to die, and like that's fine.
Fair. We'll give it. Okay.
That was Vince was played by he's the one that Ivy told us she's friends with.
Okay. I liked him. I thought he was cool. I just like he wasn't in it enough for me to get any sort of either satisfaction or hurt out of his death or anything. He wasn't red herring.
Cool though.
Like, I have a gripe with the movie now. I have a gripe. In the trailer, we get this big shot, big sweeping shot. We even talked about it in our trailer reaction, and it's not there. Ian, where the fuck is that shot?
Because clearly it happens while he's crawling on the ground. Clearly. And I don't know why they cut that out because it was cool. We both said how cool it looked.
Yeah. I did like him. So it was, what was the Red Right Hand or something like that? That
Nick
song?
Cave in the Bad Seed, Red Right Hand.
So I like that song was kind of playing there on a radio or something like that. I would have even been cool with it playing like as a part of the soundtrack. But it was cool that it was playing in the radio. And I like when he goes in to like lean in. Like he immediately, like that stab in the neck was so quick and so like just unexpected that it really worked for me. I really enjoyed that too.
Yeah. Yes, because I know I just like shit on like a quick death, but like, yes, I think because you weren't like, and it's a throat, it's not like it's just like a quick stab. It's like a real quick throat slit. And like, yeah, of course you die from that.
Was that a slit or a stab?
Oh, I thought it might have been a stab. It happened so fast.
Yeah.
I think you might be right. It might be like, and that would kill you. Like a throat slit or a throat stab would, yes, you die. But the thing I liked is that it was music playing in his car, but then when he turns off his car, when he turns around and he gets stabbed, it goes right back to like the song becomes the soundtrack because the song plays.
Did it? Oh, maybe I missed it. Okay.
And then he crawls on the ground like, and it's like playing, but you hear the car. And I don't know. I really liked that. I thought it was like a cool. I don't know why the fuck they cut that out of like Ghostface Shadow, but
it was just cool. I don't know. A quick character getting a quick death, I guess, makes sense, you know? So it's okay. So the killer reveal. again, it was like meh for me because I really didn't care about these characters enough, and I wasn't really like, I don't know. I again, like, because I'd been seeing all of these rave reviews. I thought that the killer reveal was going to be something like uber spectacular, and it was kind of average. You know, it was kind of like, it was like okay. It was like two people who met on a subreddit, and one of them like lives in Stu Walker's house now.
I was genuinely surprised that Richie was the killer. I will say that I was genuinely surprised. Yeah. So like, but I don't know. Everyone was dead at that point. It had to be one of them, and I feel like. Yeah. Right? Like
I think so. I was surprised that Richie was, and I guess I was surprised that Amber was because I wasn't expecting it, but it wasn't this type of surprise that I was shaken by. You know, it wasn't anything like that. I was like sure that that when all of the teens were in the room, that a couple of them were going to start laughing with each other and being like, "Yeah, it's all of us," or something like that. I don't know, something like crazy like that, but. It was fucking bananas that she literally just, this bitch just starts shooting up the room. Like, it like fits, right? You know, if we want to make a little commentary on gun violence, you know, just like all over the place. Love that Amber, when Sydney and Gail show up, Amber like goes out and she's like uber dramatic about it. She's like, "I've been stabbed," and they're like, "Trap."
They're both just like, bitch.
Like, we've seen this. We've seen this.
I was worried when Gail got shot. I wasn't worried she was dead, but I was worried that, as happened in a few of the movies, when Gail gets attacked, she's kind of just out of the movie for the rest of the movie. Like I was like, she was like, "Sydney, finish this." I was like, no, I don't want Gail to be sidelined the rest of the fucking movie. I was glad she like came into it. No, yes,
that's happened in like all of them, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think that happened in 3, did it? Dewey and Gale, it happened to both of them, kind of, because they were like locked outside of the room, I guess.
But they weren't like unconscious or whatever. But like,
okay, yeah.
And in 2, she is there, but she does get shot. And like,
why do they always do that? What's
right?
the point of that? Come on now. I think the whole like final act of the house was. I would have liked to have seen it played out a little bit more because, like, what's so great about it in the original is that it takes so long. Like, that's why they called it Scene 118, is because we get so much in that. Like, we get Dewey and Gale going off. We get, like, all of this, like, cool stuff. It would have been even nice for, like, Gale to be driving and, like, look over and see a spot where, like, her and Dewey had been, like, you know, kissing or something like that. I don't know, just like some little something for me, for myself. But I think most of this was on a set, wouldn't it? Like, I think this was a set. I don't think it was the actual house. I think they were on a set and it was like COVID, and so like I don't know.
Yes, you know what? You're right, because I saw a picture of Mason Gooding outside that shed, and that was completely a set. Like a warehouse was the background. Because I remember being like, "Oh, that was a set." Like I assumed that was at least outside, but yeah, no.
I was also worried that because in the poster we have that main house, and then behind it is like a whole neighborhood, and I'm like, that was on a hill. There's no neighborhood there, and I was worried that we were going to be in a neighborhood. I'm glad they kept with continuity. The house looked great.
It is weird that, so when Sydney calls her and she's like, "You're in Stu Macher's house," for the movie that kept like pretty much a lot of things secret, it's weird that reveal was not a secret, right?
Yeah.
Like we knew they were in Stu's house. We knew that.
Again, I was just like sure from the trailer. I thought I was like figuring it out. You know, I thought I was the big genius figuring the whole trailer out. I just thought that everything in the trailer was gonna be like the first half of the movie, and like we weren't gonna see the final act. But it was fine. I think the final act played out pretty cool. It was. All of this is where the teenagers kind of dropped the ball a little bit, is like having a house party was the safest thing they could do. And when they are all like, "Get the fuck out," it makes sense that Amber's saying "get the fuck out," but like everybody, you know what?
It was Richie.
No, second watch, it was Richie and Amber. Oh, okay. I take it back. Good job. Good job. We'll take it. Cause yeah, it would have made sense for all of them to like literally just be hanging out there. Right. I thought the inhaler excuse, you can't really, like, if she needs her fucking inhaler, she needs her inhaler. She probably can't get to a pharmacy right then anyway. She would need a prescription. Like, it makes sense to go.
She said that, yeah.
So good way to get them there. That was pretty smart. Love that Sydney and Gail put the tracker on the car.
Everything Sydney and Gail did was perfect for me in this movie. Like and I love when she says, seems like something Gale Weathers would do.
Yeah. I only wish that we had a little bit more investigative work with them. Because I think that could have been where we got more of them, is doing a little buddy cop thing, you know?
Sydney was like, I got kids and a husband. I'm coming in real quick to kill these killers and putting my kids to bed. Like, and she did, right?
Literally.
Like, she was in and out. They weren't pressed. She was good. The scene of Sydney walking in the house was just, I don't think I could have loved that scene anymore. Like, her being like, oh, hello. Like, this version of Sydney, I just loved it. And I loved the way she talked to the killer. And she's like, where'd you go? And he's like, this is the other one. And she's like, oh, 2 killers. I've seen this movie before. This is the most derivative. Like, and just like shooting first and even saying, killer or survivor, I am giving you 5 seconds to come out before I start shooting, because she was really like, let's do this. Like, we're getting this done real quick. Yeah. And I'm getting out. Like,
and it makes so much sense, right? Because like Sydney, we do see, this is what I really like about this franchise and about Sydney as a final girl, is that we get a natural progression from movie to movie to movie. Like, it's not there's no part where it kind of falters. So we've talked a lot about in 4, how she's very capable in 4. By that point, she would have to be, you know? In 3, she kind of hides out. But in 4, she's ready to go. And this one, she's ready to go, and she's ready to do it in a timely manner. Like, she's getting it done. I like that instead of like checking doors, she like shoots the door. Like, let's just go and hit somebody, you know? I gave everybody in the house 5 seconds. If you didn't come out, there's a chance you're gonna get shot. Not
my problem.
I like Richie up in the closet when she shoots his leg, and he's like, very reasonable. He's like, of course I wasn't coming out. You were shooting everything. It was good, you know? And I like that. Because, like, again, this Sydney is doing things in a very timely manner. She's only here. She doesn't want to fucking be in this town. And so when she walks in, she's not having these big moments where she's reliving all of her trauma in all of the different areas in the house. She's not walking into the kitchen and seeing that. And, you know, she's moving through to find somebody, and that's it. That's all she's here for. She doesn't give a shit.
Did we talk about this already? Because like, we talked about surviving legacy characters. Did we talk about who her husband is?
Mark.
Yeah, her husband.
And it's Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah.
Yes, it has to be, because like that's the only Mark character. So very happy to see that.
It's been confirmed since that's
Has it?
Who that was supposed to be. Yeah.
I wonder if they tried to get him at all.
Right, I wonder, but like I'm okay with not, but I want Sydney to be happy, right? So I'm like, yeah, that was a guy that was nice to her. Great.
In my mind, Patrick Dempsey is still Grey's Anatomy, and so Sydney is living in Seattle with her kids and Dr. McDreamy. And I love it for her. I'm happy for her. And I like that, like, I would have loved to have seen it, because I'm such a fan of this, and I've stuck with it, but she really wants to keep us away from her family, and I get it.
And I get it.
Like, and I feel like Neve Campbell's a little bit like Sidney Prescott. So in the beginning of Scream 3, I just saw that, and I feel like we've talked about it at some point, but I saw that the opening was supposed to be Neve getting attacked by a fan, right? And like that was going to send her into hiding. That was in the original treatment for it. Yeah, and I thought that would have been so cool, like the fan commentary of it, because we haven't really gotten into.
And this one we did though.
Yeah. This is like the first one we really did that, because we've gone through like, you know, wanting fame out of it. We've gone through like fans of horror movies, but never the fans of this franchise in this universe. And I liked that we kind of did that, and that's our characters or our killers' motivations, is that they are Zack Snyder fans / Star Wars fans, you know, in essence, and they just want to go out there and they're mad. I don't know. I mean, what if they treated Sydney all crazy? You want to go like to stage a little something, Ian? Is that what you want to do?
Well, so I actually have to point this out too, because I want you to know I wrote like a bunch of notes on this little piece of scrap paper. When Amber is in the basement and Mindy goes to find her and turns on the light, did you notice that there's like I feel like it's a reference to the Babadook, but I'm not positive, because do you remember in the Babadook how she sees like kind of like my hooks on my wall and thinks, and she thinks, oh, that's the Babadook, but it's just like a coat on a hanger. Behind Amber, there's a coat on a hanger with like a white hat or a white scarf above it, and it looks like Ghostface for a second, and it's like directly behind her.
I wasn't sure if that was a reference or not to anything. I wasn't thinking the back of Babadook, but like that scene felt familiar to me. So I don't know. I like the whole basement part where she goes down and like Mindy shows up and they're both like, "How do I know you're not the killer?" "I am, but I'm not really." "But like, how do I know you're not really if you say that you're not?"
And like realistically, Amber was probably just annoyed with her because she's like, "I'm the fucking killer."
Oh yeah. When Mindy's going up the stairs, Amber gives her a little look. Like she's like, but like that sold the scene for Amber for me. Like that was like, Amber's not the killer, right? Like I don't think Amber's the killer here. I thought Amber was gonna die pretty quickly, but she didn't, and she kept surviving. So I should have known, I guess. You know, she's like somebody who should have died a little bit earlier had she been a victim.
Not the killer. Yeah.
I totally thought this was gonna be the garage too. Like, not the basement.
I was also going to say that. Why did it look like the garage, right? Like, I kept being like, why are they calling it a basement? It's the garage where Tatum gets killed. But I guess it wasn't, right?
I don't think so. Maybe that was just something with, like, logistics about the set and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it would have been cool to see the Tatum death scene. I don't know. A little bit cool.
I did read, because I've been going, like, crazy looking up trivia, Rose McGowan, they asked her to come back in a voiceover form, and she did not have nice things to say and said, "Have fun with your movie. I'm not doing that," was literally the statement she put out.
Then whatever, Rose McGowan, whatever. Okay. Fine. The movie was fine without you.
Yeah, it was a great little movie. So
I thought the action at the end was so cool. All of the action at the end was so great, and everybody flipping around and everything.
Right? Like,
okay, we're gonna go a little bit out of order here, but I really want to talk about this part with you, Ian, because I love you, and I think this. I know you're gonna appreciate this as much as me. So in the original, Sydney's in the corner in the kitchen, right? In this one, Gail and Sydney flip this bitch over the fucking island and put her ass in the corner. Did you not just like have the highest like heartbeat,
the biggest boner of my life?
Yes. Like the best action scene of all of them for that,
right?
Part.
Like,
yeah,
I am a big advocate of shut the fuck up and watch the movie. Like, I hate when people make noise, but I definitely went yes when they did that, like out loud. I was so excited. It like, we've never seen them work together physically, right? Like, they shoot Debbie Salt together, but like, you know, they're shooting someone. They're not like physically fighting. Yeah. This is like, I'm positive it's the first time that they fought someone together, and they kick her fucking ass. And it is so gratifying to watch, especially after she just insulted Dewey.
And they're the fucking Avengers, you know? They're like flipping and doing Natasha somersaults and like all of that. And I fucking love it. Like, there's no way to fucking describe it. And I'm not seeing gay Twitter talk about it enough. We need to talk about that flip a little bit more after this weekend. I get it. No spoilers this weekend, but like, Ian, we're going to be doing so many fucking memes out of that. We're going to get so much out of that.
I'm like, it felt like Nev Campbell and Courtney Cox were having fun too. Like when Nev smashes the bottle in her face and Gail laughs and goes, "Hand sanitizer?" Like,
was that Gail that said that? I thought it was, I thought that Amber said that. Oh, okay. I'll take it.
Gail's like smiling and says, "Hand sanitizer?"
Which was a great reference to COVID, by the way. I take it as a reference to COVID. It's just, their whole kitchen part was so fun. It was so much fun. You know what? I love their outfits now. I always kind of shit on the outfits from the rest of the movies outside of the first one because I'm like, it's not memorable. Gail's blue shirt has really sold me. I think this is probably like one of my favorite Gail outfits.
I wasn't sold as much on the blue as you were, but now I am. Yes. I thought they were and Sydney looks good in that jacket. I think Sydney has never looked hotter. Like, that jacket was a good fit on her. Her hair looked great. Like, the boots and the tight jeans. Loved it.
Yeah. Gail, when she gets shot and goes down outside, when they bring her back in, she's a little bit more roughed up than she should be, but like, I'm glad we're at that stage, you know, give us the like the disheveled hair and everything. They are such a fucking pair, and I fucking love it. I love that Sam kind of like leaves them to do their own thing for a little bit while she goes off and like deals with Richie, you know, and we get this whole moment with them, and they team up and they like set this bitch on fire, and so good, man. So good.
When they shoot her and she fucking bursts into flames, like, fuck, I loved it.
It's so cool.
it borders on like I think you had said this about Scream 3, where it's like Scooby-Doo meets Die Hard. It definitely bordered on that in this scene, but I didn't fucking care. I loved it. Like, it upped the action, but like, I mean, we both loved it in a way that like fans still like it. Still felt like not real, but you know what I mean? Like in universe, it wasn't like her doing a kickflip, flipping over the girl or whatever. But like, I don't know.
I honestly would have even been like cheering in my seat had she
right.
done that. Had Gail done like a backflip and kicked somebody, and I've been okay with it, and I'd have cheered it on and not given a single criticism.
A+,
did you think?
notes.
Did you think at any point that these two during like this final battle that any of them were gonna die? Because Sydney does get stabbed in the stomach and she goes down, and like Gail's like, "Stay with me," and all that.
No, at this point. And my best friend Kevin texted me today after he had seen it. He said, "You know what my favorite thing is? That Gail and Sydney are fucking indestructible." And that,
yes,
I agree with that. At that point, I was confident. No, they're living. Like everyone who's died is going to die except for the killers. These are our 4 main girls. They're not dying. Like at that point, I was confident that they were good. Like I actually had I was like, I can't wait for them to kill these motherfuckers.
Yeah, and I even love that they make the commentary that, like, you have to die now, Sydney, because you living through another movie would be ridiculous. Like, it would be ridiculous, and she's gonna do it, and guess what? We're gonna love it, and we're gonna be happy about it.
And no shade at all, I really, really feel this movie made Gail and Sydney, granted, I'm a faggot, and I already thought this, but really bumped them up to the final girls. Like, we portrayed them as people who, like, they worked through their trauma and they are over it, and they are just like, this is fucking annoying. At this point, they are like, I'm coming in here to shoot up this house because a killer's in here somewhere and I'm not dealing with this bullshit again. We're done. We're not dealing with it. And for me, that is the most like empowering final girl version. It felt so Buffy to me when like, you know, like think of like some of our favorite Buffy moments. Like I think of her on the tower with Joel Grey, when he's like, this will be interesting. And he has his knife and she's like, and just like pushes him right off. And like, that's it. She's done with you. That's what this kind of felt like. Sydney and Gail, like for me, there's like no contest. They are the final girls. Like they handled it. They got in, got out. I don't know. And them just tag teaming that girl together.
It doesn't get better than that. Like it really, and the fact that this girl is like 16 or 17 years old, like they're kicking this like 5 teenagers out. Like it works. And I like how manic this girl is also. Is like, I did like how manic Amber is. Like as soon as she gets flipped, she's like literally like, I've been radicalized. That's not my fault. It's just, but then she's like immediately back in like, yeah, I'm glad you killed Dewey though. You know, like it was good. It was a good moment. What else? When Sam got stabbed, I thought she was gonna die.
I did too. I actually, die.
Again, though, stomach wounds don't do shit except to Judy.
Yeah. Except for poor Judy. Unless you're like a poor mom. Unless you're like this like nice mom.
My Judy, my bloody Judy.
I was a little, we literally got a bloody Judy in this movie. I was a little worried about Sam when she got stabbed, but I don't know. At that point I was like pretty confident, and we had seen so many people like Tara get stabbed a lot of times and be okay. So I was like,
almost would have been fine also had Sam died, because leaving us without like a main final girl would have been like a new twist. It would have been a new like turn on something where we get all of the surviving side characters instead of the surviving final girl. You know, that would have been cool, I think. I'm fine. You know, she'll come back. Their whole fight was cool. I liked them. I always like people going down some stairs. I like Sam and Richie going down the stairs together. Everybody was like really fucking battling it out. Like they've all got bruises for days after this. And poor fucking Tara's still fighting. She still has to fight with her fucking crutches.
Crutch. Like Jesus.
Doesn't get a fucking break.
And the thing I also liked is not only were like Sydney and Gale were shot and stabbed and like pretty badly beaten up, that end there where they're like, man, we're good. We're good. We're gonna sit here. Like, we're good. Like,
fucking sucks though, man. Another gunshot to the stomach, same place. Another knife wound to the stomach, same place. Like,
it really was like that was exactly where Sydney was stabbed in 4. That's where Gale was shot in 2. Like,
so like the very end, and when after they like kill them all, and okay, Sam killing Richie after she said, "Oh." As brutal as I wanted it to be, right? Because Final Girl's killing somebody is always kind of pretty. It always looks a little clean. She went fucking bananas, right? And I fucking loved it. She was like as high as she could lift the fucking knife over and over and over. Did somebody stop her or did she stop herself? I don't remember.
No, because she just slits his throat.
That's right. That's right.
Then she stands up and she's covered in blood. And Sydney, and I really liked it. I will say Sam felt like the weakest link, but I did like her like end here. I did like where she ended up. Like I liked, like you said, she had a brutal, and it was that blood was all the blood that came from her stabbing him. It wasn't like because Sydney's covered in blood, but that's because of like the fights and the people that have died near her and whatever. In 1, but like that was all her boyfriend's blood from her stabbing him. And I love when Gale and Sydney come out and Sydney's like, watch out, they always come back. And she just pulls the gun. That man is clearly dead. And she shoots him a bunch of times and then blows his brains out.
Because it really did feel like, hey, if we're doing a requel, like, you get the job done. This is the movie to get the job done. Efficiently, an efficient worker, put it on your resume. You've got it. You're a good killer, good final girl. And then she comes. I even liked Amber coming out at the very end, all charred up. Like, that was fucking cool. Reminded me of Chucky a little bit, They shoot her ass. And then, like, we've got our surviving characters, and I like that. I think what some of the older movies, like, kind of fail at sometimes is having enough surviving characters to maybe continue, because you can't start a new movie with a bunch of new characters. We needed a surviving cast. So we've got Mindy and Chad. Who else? We've got Samantha. We've got Tara. We've got Sydney and Gale. Do we have any more? Or is that it?
I think that's it, but that's still more than most.
That's a cast. Yeah, that's a whole cast right there. We've got Kirby. We do have Kirby. Kirby would be in the next one. I'm like totally sold that Kirby's going to be in 6.
Well, and like I think that's another reason why you and I feel the way we do about 2, because Cotton is the only extra person that survives, and like who gave a fuck?
Shut the fuck up, man. It's Cotton fucking Weary. Put some respect on his name.
We exchanged him for Randy, right? And I don't know. I felt like that, like you said, that's like a critique that we could have for all of the other ones is that they, and in 4, we had all these new characters and every single one of them died. Even her fucking aunt dies. So I do think, again, that's like a smart thing to do because this movie felt like it was interested in world building. It felt like it was creating the world of Woodsboro, and not in an annoying way, but like in like it felt natural and like having more survivors and just like a wink that Kirby's alive and like I don't know, shit like that. I think was something that might have been missing from it was something I would say was missing from the other ones.
I agree. I do think that, just summed up, I think this movie was so well made. It was like such an attention to detail, such an attention to like just world building, storytelling. All of it was so good. Again, starting from the beginning, my only critique is that I feel like I wanted more of our legacy cast, and I think that's where we're going to kind of differentiate here, is that you think it was fun, I think it wasn't enough, but we have what we have, and we have Sydney and Gale still. So going into like a 6, what would you want to see?
Honestly, I want Sydney and Gale, leave them be. Like, I really, really mean that. Because I do think this movie gave us, and like, we loved the twins, we loved Tara, like, and Sam, sure, it's not like I hated her, just she was like, for me, the least interesting. We have these 4 characters. We have Kirby, and I very much think they can have it be this world. And okay, maybe we get a Sydney cameo where like one of the girls calls her to ask her for advice. Maybe we get a Gale cameo where like she's there reporting and she interviews someone, or they see her on TV. But like for me, I'm good. And I love Sydney and Gale, but I'm good with like I'm all good on them. I think they did pass the torch in a really great way. And I don't want to ruin those characters. Like for me, this was like the best version of them. And I don't want to like ruin that. So I'm cool with like, we're good. I'm all good on Sydney and Gale. This was like a very perfect final chapter for them. For me, of course, I would love seeing them again. I would get more worried that we would lead to like Halloween Resurrection. You know what I mean? Like I would be worried we would get to that point with them where it's like, these actors don't want to do this shit anymore, so we're just going to kill them in a 5-minute scene that sucks, you know?
Because you run the potential of like running out of things to do with them, and so you do the worst that you can do with them. I would agree with that. I think that Gale is somebody who would never leave one of these situations alone. She will always be somebody to show up if something like this is happening. I think Sydney absolutely wants to be kept out of it, and I'm okay with that. I think if we're going to bring one of them back, it's Gale. I think I'm okay leaving Sydney out. I would love to see her in a cameo, like you said, like a phone call or something. Or maybe, you know what, a great like scene, maybe like faux opening or something is Sydney thinking that somebody's there to do something, and she like opens the door and it's like empty or something. Or like she answers the phone and like, you know, the debt collector, you know.
The other Easter egg I got to bring up that I have on my little note here that I don't know if you noticed, because the second time around, I actually almost missed it because people were, I think, laughing at something or maybe talking. The second time, there was a row of annoying teens talking the entire time. When Dewey's watching Gale, did you catch what she says when he comes back in from shutting the door on them?
When he comes back in from shutting the door on...
Like, she's talking about her bangs, and she says, so if I ever get bangs again...
Yes, I did. Yeah. If I ever get bangs again, somebody needs to give me an intervention or something like that. I thought that was so cool. When Dewey just watches her every morning, I felt so sad for that.
And he had Tatum's ashes, and we never acknowledged Tatum before.
Did he have Tatum's ashes? I didn't see that. I missed it.
The picture of him and Gale that he had, which I did read was a real picture of from when they were married, the actors.
Yeah.
It was on top of his thing with his guns, but right next to it was a box that said Tatum. It was her ashes. It was like a ashes box.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. I like the attention to continuity, because we really don't get a whole lot of like people mourning the past and like addressing their trauma. But I don't know, like going into another one, I really want Kirby. I really want these surviving characters. I think it would be cool if they just couldn't have a movie without Sydney, and that the next directors had to have Sydney. And Nev Campbell signed on and everything. I think it would be cool to have like a final girl movie, you know? Like we have Sam, we have Kirby, we have Sydney, we have Gale, we have, I guess Mindy and Chad would be in it. Were there any final girls from the other ones? I don't think so. Okay. Yeah. Just the final girl movie where like they're trying to pick off the final girls or something like that would be nice.
You know, it's funny that you said that, because I was thinking of Grady Hendrix's final girl support group, and I was thinking Sydney would lead that group. Like this version of Sydney would absolutely be the leader of that group. Yeah. I'm not trying to shit on other series. I'm not.
Shut up.
But I just love the idea of this woman not turning into like a crazy MAGA, like, fuck you, I'm going to make my trauma your problem.
She's not MAGA. Stop it. I won't allow that. I won't allow it. Just because she has guns does not mean she's MAGA. Fuck off. What I will agree with you on, I'm going to add to you. I'm going to tack on without your fucking slander. I think the crazy and the hyper paranoid and everything works for Laurie Strode. I don't think it needs to be every single final girl and every single like returning character, right? I like seeing Sydney as capable as Laurie Strode, but she's still very much sane and she's still very much Sydney. She's retained herself, just with like, you know, she always knows to watch her peripheral, you know? But you're not allowed to fucking talk about Laurie Strode. Don't do this shit to me. We will end this.
You
don't have to tear one down to bring another up. You don't have to do this, Ian.
I didn't name anyone. I didn't name anyone.
The fuck you're talking about is when.
But I
got my own Scream knife here.
I could quote Adam Sass if you would like, because he said that in that Scream article I wrote, like Sydney versus Laurie, that like it's nice to see like you didn't have to become a gun nut because of your trauma, and like that is what I mean. Like,
but yes, okay. I think that Sydney works so well just still being Sydney and not having to have lost her entire identity. I think if we're going to go with the idea that Laurie Strode's whole life has been ruined by something, that's okay. They just have to commit to it, right? They have to like commit to that. That's not Laurie Strode from Halloween 1 like ever again. She lost that person. That person died. But Sydney didn't die. Sydney tried for movie after movie after movie to continue her life. You know, she even went on and had kids with, like, she has at least 3 because she said she needs to get the girls to school and she's pushing a baby. So she has 3 kids and she has a husband. She's done.
Oh, I thought it was a twin stroller. I assumed it was a twin stroller.
Oh, why is she getting babies to school? She don't got to get babies to school. Maybe 4 kids. Okay, she's got 4 kids.
I was just thinking when she said girls to school that it was like these like twins in this stroller, but it could have been a 1-person stroller.
Yeah. I just appreciate that Sydney has held on to herself, you know, throughout everything, and that does make her America's final girl, like we've said before, and I think it just makes sense, and it's really admirable, and it's really like an inspiration to know that, you know, you can go through all this shit and still come out and be like, I can still go on living, right? I don't have to hold myself up in my house.
I'm gonna cry. Jesus Christ, that was very nice.
I hate emotion.
No, I know you do, dickhead, but fuck you. As someone who like, I compare my trauma to a horror movie often, right? Like I compare it to that. So Sydney is very inspiring to me that like, I often spiral and let my depression get the best of me. And like, you know, I've seen one dead body and I think of it all the time, but like the fact that like, we can see this Sydney who did get like fucking depressed and does get still scared sometimes, but like still functions and still like, is like, no, I gotta help. And like, we're going to do this. I'm getting in and getting out. This killer wants to taunt me. I'm not doing this again. Like we've already done this. I'm not playing this game. It is nice. And you're right. All those things you said were very nice. And I could cry hearing them because I love you and I love Sydney Prescott. So fuck you.
Kill Sydney Prescott. I'm going to kill her and Gail in front of you.
Thursday is going to be our Scream 5 live stream where we'll be having 3 special guests joining us. You'll have to tune in to find out who they are.
Yes, then it's going to be very fun. We're going to talk more about this movie, but like instead of just us little faggots rambling on, we're going to get other people's opinions, right? And we're going to us 5 faggots, you know, 5-hour stream, the 5 stream. Oh, just closing out. Really good. I really enjoyed their little touch of why are they calling it Stab? Who are they trying to fool? It's Stab 8. Good little touch there. Good little metaverse. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Ian, where can everybody find My Bloody Judy?
For right now, as of right now, you can find My Bloody Judy in Slayerfest 98's podcast feed. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all other places you get your podcasts, and on social media at SlayerFestX98, which is where you can find right now all the My Bloody Judy stuff. Yes. And Zachary, where can they find My Bloody Judy on YouTube?
For now, you can go to youtube.com/AZB bonus features and leave down in the comments or hit us up on social media and let us know where you would go with make sure to like tag it with some spoilers if there's going to be spoilers, okay? Don't ruin the movie for anybody else, but let us know like where you would go in the future for this franchise based on this movie, right? I want to hear from y'all, but thank you so much, Ian, for being here with me and doing this. I know it's not your favorite movie. It's just a little, you know, little indie movie that you never heard of, and we've seen it recently, you know. Yeah. Casey Booker.
Not a franchise I have attachment to.
Not one at all. Not one at all. Your shirt's very nice today.
Just says words. I don't know what they mean.
I don't know. All right. Also, if the auctions are still going, you can buy Clock of Doom by Gail Weathers and Out of the Shadows by Sydney Prescott over on eBay. There's auctions going for both of those.
I thought you were trying. Why are you telling people? Aren't you trying to win?
It's already $600. I can't afford it. I'm not going to do it. If I'd have bought it a year ago, they were selling all of Gail Weathers' books and Sydney's book for $1,000. So that was my time, and I think I missed it. But thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Bye, guys.